1:32. Bring the meeting to order. All good? Okay. All right. As customary, Reed, will you lead us?
Would you pray with me, please? Holy, precious, and gracious God, as we gather together today to conduct our community business, we ask that you bless our activities and all present here, and bless their families, and all of our military, firemen, policemen, and employees who serve us so well. Bless our great nation, Lord, and return us to faithful service daily for you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Why don't we start with a motion to approve the June minutes? Do I have a second on the June minutes? Second. Jerry? And all those in favor? Aye. Okay, we'll move. With that, I will turn it over to you, Rita. We can go through the financials.
Okay. Alrighty, diving right into the financials. So you'll see we now have a total of 6 months of actuals and 6 months of forecast. Moving forward, I'll really start to focus on the forecast heavily to get a baseline, as those numbers will allow us to be as close and accurate to the budget for next year. On line number 1, the June financials. On page 1, total income for June was $490,599. Year to date, we are better than budget by roughly $17,000. Page 1, line item 2, our June expenses was $368,406. Year to date, we're better than budget by $193,000. Our interest income for June was roughly around $10,000. Number 4, our net income for the month of June was $113,877. Year to date, we're better than budget by $224,000. Moving to page 2, cash. We had $196,077 in CDs. Our money market account has $1,718,228. Our total capital account is $1,914,305. Our operating cash ended at $581,342 for a total in cash of $2,495,647. We did have roughly $83,000 worth of cash outlays. That was a one-time expense for June. We replaced the second large boiler in the basement, so now we have 2 new boilers that are in the basement. We've replaced the hot water heater that services the PC and the dining room in the boiler room out here. And we also paid the $17,000 deposit that was required on the 4 rooftop units that we ordered.
Okay, so those are paid.
Yep, they're paid. That's just an extra cash outlay for June that.
All right, so looking at the operating cash, I guess what I would say is I'm going to recommend, unless you think that there's any risk out there, to moving another $50,000 into the reserve.
Are you on?
Microphone.
Oh, yeah, so I guess it would be good to take it off of mute. So unless we think that they're running, no?
No.
Oh, no, turn. All right.
Turn him down.
All right. Do you guys need him to turn it down?
Maybe just these speakers.
Okay. So if we don't, do we see any risk of sweeping another $50,000 into the reserve
No.
and taking advantage of those nice interest rates
Yeah, I
that are out
started to say
there?
I'd rather sweep it and gain on the interest.
All right, so I'll make a motion to sweep $50,000 in. Second over there, Scott. And all those in favor? We're all good? Great, super.
So given that it's the 31st, it'll actually probably sweep in August.
That's okay.
I'll send it today.
Yeah, as soon as we can.
Okay. Moving on to meals. Our total meals for the month of June was $6,977, which I went back all the way pre-COVID. That's, I think, the biggest month that I've ever seen in meals for a long time. Our average cost per meal for the month of June was $18.92, which is also the lowest that I can recall that we've been.
Well, since we started,
Right.
that's the lowest it's been since we started keeping monthly track of meal prices.
We do have a new menu coming out tomorrow, and also starting next week, we will be eliminating the lunch chef tables that are happening twice weekly to only once a month. Our lunch numbers were down a little bit in June, but our dinner numbers were up, and then given the survey data, it's kind of alluded to that. Do you have?
I missed what the lunch.
Oh, starting next week. Right now, we're doing lunch, chef tables on Mondays for lunch and Wednesdays for lunch. Starting next week, we'll resume back to only having the chef tables for dinner like we were, but we'll do it once a month just because people like to have the salad bar and so forth. So when we started this process, it was to see if we could save on labor, which obviously it does, and save on waste of food. And like I said, the numbers for lunch showed we were down a little bit for lunch, but up in dinner. And then the survey results also showed that, you know, people like to have the option of either or. So,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're good?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You good? You're,
I'm good. I really enjoyed
well, you know, I had a lot of people that say they enjoyed it. A lot of people say they want the option of being able to order from a menu and have the chef table instead of having chef table on both days because it was heavy meals. So I said, let's run it for a month because the numbers doesn't lie. Like I said, the lunch numbers were down for June.
They were down even with
And-
the tables.
Right, the lunch numbers were down in June, dinner numbers were up. And then looking at the survey results that the committee did, it looks like, you know, people do enjoy the chef tables, but they don't want the lunch and the dinner on the same day. Now, we can't speak for everybody because we're not able to,
So we'll have a chef's table for lunch one day a week.
Speaker,
one day a month.
the top.
Let me see if I can help you. Try power.
Oh. Let there be power. Thank you.
We'll have this, and I'll put all this out in a letter today because the new menus are going out to the residents today and there'll be a letter, but the lunch chef tables will be once a month.
Okay, so that means only one one salad bar 1 week. a
Right.
month. I mean, once a week.
Once a month.
Once,
It's a month for the
That-
chef table for lunch,
okay.
right?
Right,
Which usually has a salad bar.
right.
So, okay, so
So
we'll
the-
only
so-
have the salad bar 1 day a week.
One day a month.
One day a month.
That's what? Rita.
Maybe I'll get it when you put it
On
in
Mondays,
print.
on Mondays, we'll have à la carte, regular ordering for lunch. For dinner will be chef table. Tuesday will be à la carte for lunch and dinner. Wednesday will be à la carte for lunch, chef table for dinner. Thursday and Friday à la carte. One day a month, we will have the salad bar as the chef table for lunch and another bar, like the deli bar or something like that.
What happened to the possibility of a Saturday buffet, brunch, whatever, to go into Sunday and keeping tables up, things like that, seeing we were only serving that one meal? Did you think about that or
Yeah,
talk about that?
It doesn't save on the setup. I mean, we can look at Saturday. Normally Saturdays are a pretty big lunch number as it is.
But I think it would be easier for help, you know, without the help, with the health problems, it might be easier if we had that buffet. But I'm just thinking, because I didn't know until just now that we weren't having the buffet tables. We had left just a couple days, Monday, it was on Monday and Wednesday, day and night, so this is new to me.
well, you need to understand what the demand for Saturday is
Yeah, no,
going to
I
be
know.
so that we can have the right labor, right? Because that could,
That's why I
Yeah.
was talking about the buffet.
Yeah.
So if labor's down, buffet might work real well. Just a thought.
That is a good thought. I mean, when we had the chef tables, of course, you have more waste in food, but you have less labor. Labor costs more than the food waste. But when you have, the problem is when you have an à la carte and a chef table on the same day, you're paying for the more labor and the waste. So that was the reason why I wanted to try to go a different way
It
for a
would be a big
month.
waste to have them both the same day.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I mean, the run rate is like 84,000 meals, right?
right,
We got a capacity that we think is around 90.
right.
So if we
It's
could,
increasing. I mean, our
Yeah.
run rate's increasing.
yeah, and the cost is going down as a result of it on a per meal basis. So the question is that if we can continue to squeeze that, that'd be great, if we can.
Right.
But I don't want to change the economics of it right now. It's in the right road.
Right, did prices go down because of having the extra buffets during this past month, or not?
Well, the labor, it's the labor that you're saving on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess just my disappointment is I really cared for the salad bar.
A lot of people, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I've gotten all kinds of texts and emails and calls, and it's like, how do you make a happy medium there? So I will say more, I've had more complaints that we're having the chef tables for lunch and dinner on the same day than I have not.
Well, I agree with Janice on the salad bar aspect opposed to the full, the full lunch.
Understand?
Yeah, I know, I get it.
We'll try it again and see what happens, and
No, I like theirs.
nothing's set in stone.
Sales and leasing, you'll actually see on here that I've got 3 condos for sale, but since this was printed, 2 of these condos are under contract, so there's only 1 actually on the market right now. 2 condos for lease, but the same thing goes there. 1 has actually just been leased, so we've actually got 1 condo for sale and 1 condo for lease that I'm aware of right now.
Which one's still on the market?
A701 is on the market for sale, and B202 is on the market for lease.
Thank you.
You'll see the condos that sold in 2023. I'm not going to go through that. You guys can go through that. Still your agenda there. All right, you guys got any questions on those items? Scott, what you got for architect?
Okay, on the architect committee, I guess the big part there is that the architect committee met with several other people, and we had a discussion, came up with some questions and comments that were sent to the 2 contractors that we are looking at bids on. We are making an arrangement to meet with those contractors to review their contract, their proposal, and to answer the questions that came up during this meeting. One of those meetings is scheduled to take place tomorrow, and the second was scheduled to take place tomorrow also, but due to a medical situation, it has to be delayed and will be rescheduled. So that chases are working, but I hate to use this word, but working very slowly. So activity there. And the architect committee will be looking at what needs to be done on floors 3 and 6 as far as to update those floors. And I think Rita will be contacting an outside consultant to give us some specific ideas on what should be done. That's pretty much the short of it, okay?
So I think that's finance, right? Finance, we did not meet in July. We will meet in the next few weeks. We clearly need to wait right now until we have a good sense of having our questions answered on the chases, because that's obviously a big piece of what we want to do next in terms of identifying what the cost of that would be and anything that goes along with that. So I would suspect that that's going to happen over the next, we know we'll have a better sense tomorrow after our meeting, but we'll have to wait for the second vendor to come back. We will also start to talk about the budget for FY '24. And that's what we'll start to do in the next meeting. We're going to have a run-through of the basic forecast to make sure that all our costs are aligned. We have different implications this year that we didn't have last year. We have taxes to pay this year. We'll have to pay estimated taxes next year. The good news is that I know nobody likes to pay taxes, but the good news is it shows profitability. So we have to put that into our forecast and going forward. Having said that, we will, if we don't have an answer on the chases by the time we have a budget recommendation to make, we'll make a recommendation on the budget that will include the cost of the chases in the normal annual assessment. So that's how we'll go through that. But the Finance Committee has got a lot of orientation to do around the two potential budget submissions, and we'll get to that. We'll start that process on this month's meeting. So I think that's it for the Finance Committee.
All right, as far as food and beverage, the dining committee and Rita have been working pretty hard this past month to get what you guys wanted back on the menus that may have been gone. We just got finished with it literally yesterday, changes and grammar and everything like that. So we've got that pretty under control. I think y'all are going to really like it tomorrow when you see it, or is today.
They'll get it in their door pocket today, a copy of it.
Y'all have it this afternoon, so that's it.
Social?
Quick question, Jerry. I did mean to ask you this before, but I wanted to see about we've got the Morrison's contract is going to come up in February. We were talking about it briefly, and we probably need to talk to Morrison's at least about what expectations we might have in the next contract cycle.
We've got to know by the end of November, to give them 90 days.
Yeah, probably what should happen is we ought to go, walk back from that, a little bit earlier, because
Definitely.
I believe in November, we would have to make any decision about it, because then you've got the 90-day window there.
Agreed.
Before it will just auto-renew. We're checking on the auto-renew versus opting in, but what I would say is that we ought to give them some ideas about what our expectation is prior to that time frame. So if you could sort of lead that process in terms of getting an idea of what we want to talk to them about,
Right.
That would be great, and then come back in the next board meeting. And
I think this dining committee that we've got right now is pretty much, this is our first, just so you know, this is our first real menu of everybody coming together. So we've given Morrison's that opportunity, and we will be talking to them after we see how this month goes also with the chef table and how often we're going to have those. But things that I've been hearing a lot of people talking about how they think the food has gotten somewhat better from a couple months ago. So I think we may be moving in the right direction, and we look for feedback too. So. Janice?
Let's see, social.
Hello. I guess it's my turn. Okay, as for social, we have met this month. One of the biggest highlights, I guess, that we've had was the Buy for Nothing Day, which I personally did not think would fly, was such a hit. I got excited. And we'd even been told by several folks that they would like to have more of them. So if, it's your trash is our treasure, so we'll do as many of them as we can. So thank you all for participating and all the work that went into it. The Capitol Zoom tour, we did have that. We had a very good turnout for it. There was a little problem with hearing on the Zoom. We could not tell if you sat close, you could hear. In the back, it sounded either muffled or may have been just the speaker not being articulate. That was a little bit of a hearing. So we'll know that to go forward. We'll try out the speaking before we have any more Zoom tours. You've probably seen in the elevators, we're going to have a bake sale. That's in the works. And Bill Thaxton is, I know, I call people out. Bill Thaxton has socially offered to play piano, and he and Roz Goldberg, is working to set some dates for us, so we appreciate that. So we got some local talent that we're going to display as well. The other thing that I do want to bring is really not social, but maybe it is social, because if you don't have clean clothes, you're not very social. I've had many people, and we've talked about this in the meeting before, that on floor 6, the dryers are not drying. That is taking $3 to $4 to dry. So after the 4th report, to me personally, I made a work order. Rick did go and he tested them, and I wanted to give you all the results. And he is telling me that the first dryer does go to a 197 degree within about first 5 to 10 minutes, and that's where it will hover for about 5 minutes, and then it drops down. All of these machines are programmed to do that for safety reasons, for fire. So they do get to the number of degrees that they need to be. The second one goes to 201, the third goes to 225. So they're getting heated, and they are going back to a lower degree and then going back up, and they do that on an interval of every 3 minutes. Now, we don't know if there's, or what the real problem is, because when we test, not me, when Rick tested, everything worked fine. So I guess some of the questions I would have is, if you're putting too many clothes in a dryer, that could cause the dryer to not heat as well, which could cause one of the problems. The other could be if you're putting heavier rugs, bedding, anything like that, that is going to probably not get as dry as you would like it on just $1. So you just have to be careful what you're putting in there. The other I would ask, because if you're like me, I go put my clothes in and then I go home and do something else. When I go back, I put them in the dryer and do the same thing. So I'm not really there when the dryer or either machine is going. So if you're in there, you might want to try to test it to see if it is continuously getting warm. And I don't know how you would do that other than opening it up.
Is there also a possibility that you would, if you have a rug, do it by itself, or if you have bedding, do
Yes.
bedding, don't throw your clothes in with the bedding and all that stuff?
Yeah. The amount of clothes or amount of items that you put in a dryer is definitely going to depend upon how dry they get within a certain amount of time. Mm-hmm. So since I had been approached, I wanted you to know. And the other thing Rick told me is, if you had reported it, if he did not have a name to contact you back to give you the results, he didn't know who to call. So I tried to do my due diligence to find out what was the problem, if there is a problem, when it might occur, but it may just be that you're going to have to watch it a little bit more to give more information so that he can check further. I hope that was helpful. And that's all I have.
I think that's the scheduled
Did you
agenda, right?
Did you want to talk about the nominating committee?
Oh, yes. So I'll sort of leave it to Scott, you, and Jerry. Right now, I'm not sure how you want to go through that. Do I have a volunteer for the chairman of the nominating committee? Or do I just assign one?
I'll take it.
Okay, so Scott is going to chair
I'll
the
take it.
nominating committee.
And to complicate matters, I'm leaving Wednesday for a long trip, so there won't be any meetings until late August. But we'll put out a note in Towers Talk and ask people who would ask for volunteers to be on this committee so that we can, get everybody that's interested, and then we'll build a committee and have a meeting then the end of August, 1st of September. And all of that will take place once I get back from a nice long trip. Thank you.
Okay. That's all the board business, right? Unless there's any other business. Is there anything from anybody?
I have decided that I want to make a motion that we dismiss Cooper Carey. They were originally hired for proposals 1 and 2 on their sheet. The first one was to evaluate our situation, and that was going to be $3,350 to be done in 3 weeks. The second was to create a master plan upon which there has been, from what I see, absolutely no action, and they were going to give us that in 2 weeks for $17,500. We've received nothing on that. They showed up with the contractor documents regarding the chases, and those were 170-some pages for the bid contract, and they had 19 pages in the drawings that they created. Of those 19 pages, 12 were copies of the original Mount Vernon Towers drawings with some minor changes here and there. There were 3 that were new elevations that they had done, which really weren't much change in the original, but in elevation there were 3 pages. And there were 4 pages that were made up of standard criteria that you would show any contractor on what you expected for the building, the stucco, and so forth. So those came out of the file. There were, in other words, 3 pages that they really put forth. In their 170-some pages for the bid documents, this was again just printed off of their computer, which was just zap, 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 zap. Many things in there they didn't even read to edit them to make it specific for Mount Vernon Towers. They didn't inspect the building because one of their suggestions was to put in circular chases, which would have had to cut the concrete floor they sit on. They didn't include a drain system in their drawings. The first floor concrete slabs have to be extended. They didn't include that. They did. Anyway, the list goes on, and I just think that I'm done with them. I'm ready to see them go away, and we just continue with what we've got with the bidders we've got. We don't need them. They haven't provided that master plan either. It was the big reason I voted for it was to see the master plan. So I have a motion on the floor to cancel the contract in cooperation with Cooper Carey.
I second it.
Question, how much have we paid them so far?
How much have we paid, Ruth?
I would have to look for the exact dollar, but it's a little over 20,000 because we kind of skipped the master plan and went to the third.
Well, we didn't skip it. We've been focused on the
right.
chases. We've had them completely focused on the chases.
Right.
We haven't got back to visioning. We haven't got back to master planning. We haven't got to those things because, but to me, that's the board. That's not Cooper Carey. That's the board. It's a set of confusing requirements, changing our mind, delays in the process, seeing this, seeing that, right? No clear direction, okay? And so I think that that's a board. I don't think that that's the
But the
architect.
board, what the board voted for originally was to get the master plan, not the details on the chases.
But we distracted the
But we got,
board.
someone told them to go to the details on the chases as opposed to doing the master plan. I know the board didn't make that decision because we originally voted just to do the initial investigation, their $3,300.
Scott, you made it a point
and
to go after the chases.
To give a master plan.
You made it a point. You even came back later and said,
We did.
did we give them the chase work?
We did, but unfortunately, I agreed to vote to give them the additional monies to do the chases because it was already in process by the time we got there. So, I mean, unfortunately. So I think, I'm ready to get rid of them.
Yeah, I mean, you've made a bunch of comments. None of those comments were shared with the board until now. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to review those comments before we make a decision to dismiss a professional that we, as a board, have not been able to conclude on this thing that we're doing. And I'm not confident that we as a board can do that. So my comment is to, when we come to a vote, I'm going to vote no on that. I don't mind looking at the details that you're suggesting so that we get a better understanding of it, and then we can come back. But I'll leave it to you guys. My vote will be a no.
My vote would be a no.
I appreciate what Scott's saying, and I concur with him, but I'd vote no till we can look into it further.
You have a vote as well?
Oh, I vote no.
And I'm assuming you're voting yes?
I vote yes.
You're a yes? Okay. So that
My
motion doesn't...
only comment is that my only comment is when we were on the board and we knew that this had to happen, there was a lot of time, and I believe 18 months had gone by without getting some type of structure and knowing where we needed to go, and we were floundering. And therefore, we did vote to bring someone with that knowledge to help us get from point A to point Z and follow all the others. What we did was we brought them in and started with point A, and we jumped because we ourselves didn't have the knowledge of where we needed to go. That's why we brought them in, and they helped us with a lot of things that we were not even known. And we put faith in them. Now, they may not have given all of the things that you had said, but some of that could have been the board's fault by leading them into other areas. We wanted pie in the sky in the beginning, and we had to learn that we had to filter it down. So that's my comment of why I would say no. We need them.
Go ahead.
Well, overall, I'm just disappointed in what their interest has been in us, because we're kind of like a stepchild, in my opinion, with what they're giving us. And all of the comparisons that I've seen, Rita has done. They've done, I think they did the very first one, and then ever since then, Rita's been doing the comparisons. And we're just a stepchild to them. We're a small job, and they go to their computer, and they print out big old pages of details out of their computer that aren't even edited for Mount Vernon Towers. I'm just fed up with them. I agreed to vote for them too. I thought they would be something that could add to our beauty here and our comfort and get us down the right road. But we're just kind of a stepchild. We're just being basically abandoned by them.
Let me ask you a question, Rita. We paid the amount of money that we paid for. We haven't received all the services on the contract yet,
Correct?
right? And we are still owed those services, though, based on the money that we spent, right?
Correct.
So we still have those services to get. But we have to say, this is the priority that we want you to do. We have not looked at master planning and said to them, you know what, I want you to stop what you're doing over here, and we're going to have you do master planning for us, because we've paid for it.
They're not a one-person company. They could be doing master planning and this at the same time, because they're that big. It's not like we wanted to stop something. We just wanted to see what we supposedly agreed to.
Yeah, but we're directing them.
And, and somehow we got tripped over into the chases before they gave us the master plan. And that was what I thought we were doing. I thought we were voting for them to give us a master plan. That's why we only approved 2 aspects of their proposal. And then all of a sudden they're working on the 3rd one before it was approved. I don't know how that happened.
We told them to do it.
I don't know how that happened. I didn't tell them.
To do it.
Yeah.
I didn't tell them to go to the chases before we only approved 2 items on the front end. And that was to give us the master plan, and they had to do their evaluation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I believe this is a board issue. So, and we can go through all that, see what they delivered for what they've got and what they owe us. And then we'll vote. And we'll have a real vote. But for now, it doesn't pass. Any other business?
4 questions. 4 questions. Floor questions.
Well, I just want to make sure we don't have any other business on the board. Okay? So no more business on the board. I guess we'll take questions from the floor. Susan, please. Hey, Susan will bring you a microphone.
Oh, I forgot actually one item that I wanted to touch base on when I was talking about the equipment we replaced. The front gate, I'm sure everybody's aware that it's been down for a little over a week now. That gate is custom made for us. We've tried to have a welder come out and fix it. It is not repairable. It has to be replaced. The lead time on building that gate is 6 to 8 weeks. I know a couple people have emailed and called and asking about the gate. What happened was a trash truck was coming through to deliver a dumpster. They tried to piggyback off a car. Instead of stopping, they came in too fast to stop and just plowed right through it. So unfortunately, we're kind of got our hands tied as we've got to wait until the gate's rebuilt.
Okay, go ahead.
I can't speak on behalf of all of the architectural committee, but I don't know of. Can you hear now? I can't speak on behalf of the entire architectural committee on whether or not Cooper Carey should be dismissed, but I think I can speak unanimously that we haven't seen any benefit of having them help us. And the item that I think Scott forgot to bring up is that we know for a fact that one of the bidders that we wanted to bid did not, because of the voluminous nature of the packet that Scott held up. This is not that big of a job in the eyes of a professional group, and to have 180-some pages of something, mostly garbage, is confusing things as opposed to helping. Question I have for the board on another subject, but on the chases, will the board be submitting a claim to Mount Vernon Towers Insurance to help pay for the chases?
I think you can answer that.
No, we will not be. Our insurance carrier, they see this as a repairs and maintenance process, 40 years of deterioration. It's not something that's covered under our plan.
And that is absolutely correct. And the reason I'm standing up here is I know that there is a rumor going around this building that's encouraging people to increase their loss assessment coverage on your personal owner's insurance. And you're being told that if you have that will cover any assessment that comes from the board to have you guys pay for it. That is not true. I've talked to 2 owners of independent insurance agencies. They both completely discredit that unless the board first submits a claim on Mount Vernon Towers insurance, and then any that it doesn't cover, if we're assessed as owners, then perhaps our loss assessment would cover it. But Rita stated it very well. This is not a loss. A tornado did not rip the chases off the side of the building. They have deteriorated over 30-plus years. And so something needs to be done. You're all adults. Buy all the insurance you want, but don't increase your loss assessment coverage on the expectation that it's going to pay any assessment that comes from this board for the chases. It will not.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, let's be clear. I don't think the board is advising anybody to do anything
And I have not
with
either.
insurance, number one. Okay, I got it. I want to be clear that the board is not advising anyone to do anything with their insurance policy. The board has tried to see on your behalf what your insurance might cover and if it would. What we might ask you to do, which is what we have asked, is for you to find out yourself what it is that your insurance covers and how it covers that. We're not suggesting that you're covered or you're not covered. We don't know. It is something that is between you, your insurance company, your policy, and I wouldn't make the blank statement like Dan did, which is, I've talked to 2 people and they're not covered. I would just make the statement that you need to check with your insurance carrier.
Okay, I'm going to, I am going to go back to the Cooper Carry because I have asked from the very, very beginning, why do we even need a master plan when our primary problem right now is the chases? And so that, I support Scott. I don't know if Jeff agrees with me because we have not talked about it, but I personally approve. I mean, I think I agree with Scott. I don't understand the need for a master plan when we've got so many other issues.
Well, I think that I'll just sort of tell you about, the master plan. The master plan came up as a result of, look, we knew we had chases to deal with. Or we didn't know what replacing the chases might do to the outside of the building. So because we didn't know what the outcome might be, it was important to understand the whole building. Okay, we had engineers come in, look at cracking, look at this, that, the other thing, look at our facility. Just remember, the penthouses were cracked from what we believe to be the antennas up top. There's an aging building, so the master plan was about what is it that we really need to do, and if this building has to be altered because of something so visible like the chases, it might as well be done in the context of an understanding of what it means. So a master plan was why we took up that.
Yeah, but to my understanding, that's already been done.
What's already been done?
Looking at it in light of how it would affect the overall.
No, because you have to understand what materials you're using, what those materials might look like, whether or not they integrate well into the building. What does it mean? How do you make it, or you know, you're sort of talking about whether or not you do nothing, do something, and so, no, it's not.
Yeah,
It's
but
not already
We've
done.
already voted to keep the appearance of the building the same, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, we're looking at massive costs just for the chase. And so that's, you know, just my thought. Like I said, I haven't talked with people about it, just my gut feel.
I'm just curious, since you're saying that you think you confused Cooper Carey and that they did what you asked them to do, did they at any point communicate to you that you were confusing them as to what product you wanted from them?
I'm not sure either.
I didn't quite.
Get that.
Okay, you indicated that you, the board, are responsible for not having Cooper Carey deliver what Scott is talking about, correct?
No.
That you confuse them.
I still don't.
I think she's.
Well, my question was, if you feel that this was a problem where the board did not clearly communicate, did Cooper Carey at any point say to you, we're confused because you seem to be all over the place here. What do you want us to deliver?
I'm just struggling with the question.
I think she's asking the question and re-commenting what you said about the fact that the board made changes in the specifications to Cooper Carey.
Okay, so what we agreed to we had Cooper Carey in because we wanted to, we knew that we were going to do something with these chases. We knew something had to happen. As much as, you know, people maybe didn't want it to happen, we knew something was going to happen. And so because something major was going to happen, because it was costing so much money, it would cost so much money, it was incumbent upon us as a board to say, okay, well, let's put it all in context. Okay? And in putting it in context, it was like, well, what does that mean to the building? We got other problems that we're trying to deal with. What does it mean? Cooper Carey came in and they gave us a three-part plan. That three-part plan was, and somebody can correct me if I don't get this completely right, because I haven't looked at it in a bit. One was to do master planning. One was to do visioning, and then one was to work through contracting, bidding, permitting. That was the third part of this program, should we make a decision. What we decided was that we would do master planning and visioning, and we would hold off on permitting, contracting, all those things. That was the third part of the agreement. And we advised them to move forward. But what happened in that process was we got focused on the chases, okay? And we had come to the realization that we hadn't done a good job in the last year solving the chase problem. They went in there, we asked them to start to get qualified contractors. We asked them, we evolved into this, okay, let's get a bid out. You guys do the requirements for us. We want you to do that for us, because we're not going to write a bid up for this. We don't have the skill or the time to do it. So we asked them to do it for us, okay? We then started to evolve our requirements. Well, we want chases. Oh, but look, what about if the parapet was not the same? Could we use metal or stucco or EIFS, what would they look like? Should we have vents? Should we have louvered vents, not louvered vents? We've got a first floor where we know that metal studs are rotten, okay? And so we asked them to sort of corral all that. Now, what Scott's suggesting is that they haven't done a very good job of helping us there, okay? And we're going to look into that. But that's what that suggestion is. They haven't done a good job. But that's what we focused them on doing. I haven't had a conversation about a master plan since we started the chases with them. But I have had to have several conversations with them to talk about what the bid meant and what was the basis of the bid. What was the minimum requirements of that bid? Because we put in, this board put in 20 different options. Okay, that's what we did. What if while you were at it, you saw concrete spalls on the balconies and concrete was coming off of it, okay? Would you look at that while you were up there? Would you repair it while you're up there? Okay, we focused them on that stuff. That's how we got off of a master plan. Scott will tell you right now that they're a big company. They are a big company. Could they focus more resources on doing two things at once? Maybe they could. Can we focus on doing more than just the chases? Ask the board that, okay? I think that's a legitimate question because it's been going on 2 years and we've known the chases are a problem and we haven't delivered squat on it. This board has not delivered on it. We want to, we know it's an issue, but we've had so many people either resisting it, confusing it, and our own sense of uncertainty about what we wanted to get accomplished. That's what's happened, all right? And to put the blame on Cooper Carey, we can do that, but I don't think that they're the only ones to blame. So I hope that answers that question.
I want to react that I only spoke to 2 people. Those 2 people own independent agencies that write insurance for 15 to 20 different insurance companies. One of those 2 volunteered that in his 35 years, he has had 0 claims submitted for loss assessment coverage. So please do exactly what was recommended. Contact your insurance agent. But in that contact, make sure you tell them that the board has said they are not going to be submitting a claim on their insurance. That fact alone will disqualify your loss assessment coverage from providing a penny. So when it comes time to voting on this Chase issue, recognize you're voting on money coming out of your pocket, not some pie-in-the-sky insurance company that's not going to cough up a dime.
And keep in mind that it's your building.
That's confusing. Well, come on, I'm trying to save you people to understand what your insurance is actually covering. It is our building. It starts with the insurance that the board is buying. If they're not submitting a claim on that insurance, your insurance is secondary and will only cover anything that their insurance doesn't, their being our building.
I'm changing the subject. Okay, I'm changing the subject. I want to ask Rita about the update on floors 3 and 6, and you said you were getting ideas. Can you be more specific?
Well, I think Scott touched on that. Are you going to be having a meeting with Architect?
Well, I think as I said earlier, Rita is going to contact an outside consultant to come up with a suggestion on what we should be using for carpet paint ceiling.
Let me elaborate on that. It's
Okay.
not, the outside consultant is with a big group that is no cost to us. They will come and look at it, do some renderings, give us ideas based on a senior living facility on carpets we should be using or other flooring, paint colors, that kind of thing. So Scott can take it to the architect committee and say, this is what some recommendations has come in, and kind of get things rolling. It's not a cost to us to use this service.
So we'll be looking at that closely, and like I said earlier, I'm going to be gone for a few weeks, so it'll be into September. The idea is to get it actually expensed this year because of the need to do that. And of course, you say, well, what about what's going on with what we did on 1, 8, 9, 10, and what the other floors where we did another system? That'll all be part of the decision process on whether we use currently what we've got or we change to something. So it'd be a good idea to get another input from a professional on what they might recommend.
Okay, and my other question is, if anything's gonna be done for security, because that front gate is left open and people can just come and go at will.
Right. What we're doing is trying to monitor the cameras more and making sure that if you do not have a door card to get in, you just don't buzz to get in. You can't say I'm here to go on the 4th floor. You've got to give an actual name and condo of a resident coming in. That's about all we can do other than sitting someone there 24/7.
Yeah. My understanding is you hire an architect to...
Just hold it up.
Does that work? No? It's not on.
It should be on.
Is that on?
Yes.
Yeah, my understanding is you hire an architect because owners don't have clarity of what they want, to clarify your thinking so they can put out a bid package that specifies what you're asking a contractor to do for you. And so it sounds like things have gotten reversed. I mean, for an architect to be, I mean, it seems the architect's not serving any purpose at all if he isn't helping you clarify what specific options would have headed, what they might cost in a general manner, and help you clarify what you want as a board to go forward. So that's, I mean, I don't, what can an architectural firm add at this point as far as helping you clarify things? And that, plus my question would be a little bit, if the master plan was going to clarify all the things you need to do, you would need that before you put out a bid package asking for what you want done. Whereas you put out a bid package and you're varying what's being asked for, it's just, yeah, I can sort of see where we're at, but I don't see what the benefit of Cooper Carey going forward would be. What are they going to provide going forward at this point? What have they not delivered at this point?
Well, we haven't come back to them and said, can we do this master plan, right? We've got them focused in another area.
Were they contracted? I mean, are contracts not done in writing? I mean, it sounded like you agreed with there were 2 elements that you contracted, and then something's arbitrarily gotten shifted around. One of my concerns with the bid package is my understanding is that is your contract that a contractor's bidding on. It turns into a contract that the architect would help you execute, and it's a legal document. So in what manner What are going to be the legal ramifications going forward as far, what is the contract going to consist of? And is anyone going to?
I can't answer the question. What I can tell you, though, is that in the bid package, right, what we did was we came out with it, not them. We came out with it.
It's a smorgasbord.
Okay?
Pick your choice.
It was a smorgasbord, and it had 7, 8, 9, 10 options.
Sure.
All right? So what Rita and I felt like we needed to do was try to just understand what we were doing. What were the minimum requirements? That's the base bid, right? So that base bid got all confused by, what's in the base bid? What's option A, option 1A, option 1C, right? That's what happened. That's what we did. What we're trying to get back to is this base bid so that the requirements can clearly state what the base bid is, not what all the optional bids are. If we can get there, which I hope we will do if we ever get a second meeting, we will actually have a good understanding of what we want to do, what the vendors will do, so that we can actually make sure that the requirements are right and that the contract will meet the requirements.
And the contract is going to consist of what? Who's putting that together? That's what I understand the architect does.
I'm disappointed. I got to tell you, Jeff, I'm disappointed. I'm totally disappointed. Totally. I said it to him a half hour ago, an hour ago. I said, are we ever going to get this done? Are we ever going to get it done?
My question is, who's writing a contract? I mean, that's what I understand the architect does,
Right.
is their bid is the contract. These contractors bid on a written document executed by signing it, and you accept it or you reject it.
We got backward.
So this is just,
We got backward.
Yeah.
We got backward when we provided a bid that had so many options and didn't focus on what it was we needed to do. That's how we got backward, and now we're trying to backtrack into it. Right? And so we've come to...
And Jeff, to your point, Cooper Carey should have guided us in that
that's their
direction to
job, is to
clarify it.
clarify what you're bidding on so a contractor can bid on it comfortably. When it's confusing, a contractor says, I think I can do it for this, and they throw in a fudge factor that makes it ridiculously high to cover their risk because they don't understand what's written. So, to me, anyway, when is something going to be in writing that clarifies exactly what's being asked for? And if Cooper Carey isn't doing it, where's it coming from?
Well, I would expect... Go ahead.
Contractors are bidding to that bid package. That's what they see as the contract document. Maybe some other builders have a different understanding, but that's my understanding of the way architects and builders and owners operate.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I like to talk, I think you guys are really in an interesting situation. But my situation is, I want to know who is in charge of housekeeping. You're in charge. How many do we have working as housekeepers? 2. Are we planning to get more than 1? We hope so. How many are we looking for?
1. We normally have 3 housekeepers. We lost 1 last week, so we're currently looking for a 3rd one.
Okay, do we pay a substantial, one anyway, that is equal to what other housekeepers are getting?
Yes, we're paying a very fair wage.
Okay, fair wage. And the reason I ask is because somebody on our floor wrote, "Please dust me," on one of the tables. This should not happen if we are trying to keep a clean and neat house for us. So I guess some people have gone to the point of dusting their own tables on their floor. I don't think we should have to do that. So maybe we should consider getting 4 for housekeeping rather than 3. And hopefully we'll have all sorts of wonderful things happening on the outside also.
It's draining them because so many things Nobody can hear you.
That still have not been addressed as you enter in and out of the elevator. Who trains the housekeepers? Who monitors? I see a cart on our floor outside the laundry room. I mean, the trash room, and I'm like, where is the housekeeper? And this happens often. And I've looked like in the storage closet, and I'm like, where are they? What's going on? Maybe they got pulled somewhere else. Just so y'all know.
Okay.
Excuse me, is this working? Yeah. Excuse me for going back to the subject one more time, but couldn't the board just go ahead and make a claim, have it denied, and you've checked the box just in case the people that Dan has talked to is correct? It would at least get that taken care of. We know it'll be denied because they've told us that, but just go ahead and do it.
I wrote down the same question, Bill.
Okay, thank you.
I've been curious to know how we got started with Cooper Carey in the first place.
Yeah.
Was it a board decision, or exactly how did that work? Since I have been an interior designer and a certified ASID interior designer, Cooper Carey has been known for architecture and interior design only, not for engineering or anything related to engineering. So it seems to me like Cooper Carey actually is a middleman between Mount Vernon and the project. Whereas it seems to me we could have gone directly to people who specialize in things like chases rather than working with Cooper Carey.
I did too.
Well, that's kind of water under the bridge right now, and we need to go forward and resolve what we're doing right now. You have something there, Susan? Okay.
I just want to know, number one, do we have contracts on the chases? Any contracts at all?
We have bids on the chases from 2 contractors. We have not accepted a bid from either one, so we do not have a firm contract on the chases.
Thank you. And how many chases are involved?
We have 30 chases.
And how many are there?
30.
So it involves all the chases?
Correct.
Okay, I'd been told that some of the chases did not require service. Is that not true?
No, we have not found any that don't need service. That would have been,
thank you.
That would have been nice if it would have happened.
Quick question, folks. Once we get the total cost, has there been any discussion on how that's going to be allocated? Is each unit going to get the same cost, or studio's going to get different than 2 bedrooms?
The documents that we operate under will dictate that, and studios, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms will all have different amounts based upon the stipulations in the documents.
Thank you.
There was also some comments that I received, email and so forth earlier, this week about about marketing at Mount Vernon Towers. Are you going to bring that up, or are we not going to talk about that?
There was so much going on right now, but
No, there's enough going on being discussed. There's no need to bring it up right now.
unless you feel like.
Unless you want to.
But it just basically had to do with what? Well, Jeff just said don't bring it up because so much going on. What do I do? My husband
Well, I think we
says
can
so.
say in the executive session, the board voted that we are going to go back to what we used to have, which is a marketing company that manages the website and manages our social media on a daily basis, and also provides us our brochures that would be available at the front desk.
And will steps be taken to minimize legal letters? Never mind.
That was thoroughly discussed in the previous meeting.
I have a comment because I am the reason for the legal letter, and I didn't do anything malicious for the board or for Mount Vernon Towers. I was trying to do something to help, and one of the board members happened to see the Facebook page that I created. I can't. And instead of confronting me personally, they decided to go to Rita or whoever else, and then they sent a letter asking to cease and desist, which all could have really just been a simple call to me and said, hey, please take the Facebook page down. You can't use Mount Vernon Towers. You can't do this or whatever. And I would have done it. But I had to have a legal letter sent to me. And quite frankly, I thought that was really pretty crappy. And I mean, I'm new here. I don't, I'm young, I'm probably the youngest one here, and I do social media. That is my business. And I don't like a simple, if somebody had just said something to me directly, it would have gone over so much better. And now there's this animosity, and I'm to the point where I'm trying to help, but now I don't know if I even want to help. And then I think, well, if I don't help, then what's going to get done? Nothing. So I'm going to try to continue to help offer my services. But I really think that if it could just been done a little bit nicer, it would have gone a lot better.
Well, I want to say that we want to get younger people in here, and that exactly is what Tricia was trying to do. And how can you accomplish it when you put it down? And she was trying to help Mount Vernon Towers reach a younger segment of the population.
I couldn't hear what she said.
This is going on maybe a different topic, but
Can't hear
back
you.
to
Put it up to your mouth.
closer. Okay, back to the thing about the master plan. It's fairly standard in a community or even a large condo community, whatever, to have a master plan that you work around, especially when you're going to be doing a large project like this. So when you're talking about the bids and everything, and I don't care about the Cooper Care and all that part, but will the bids that you're looking at or will they follow a master plan, or do you not yet have a master plan, which is my understanding?
We don't have a master plan.
Okay. Have you ever had one?
No, I don't believe we have. I mean, I'm not aware of one.
I mean, I've lived in condo buildings for decades.
I think it's time we have one.
I mean, I think they're very important.
Yeah, I agree. We agree. That's, the board originally, as I mentioned, the board originally set out to do that. That's why we originally went out to an architect. We interviewed several architects. We selected Cooper Carey based on the fundamental decision that the board made to go forward and do master planning, visioning for Mount Vernon Towers, and then going to whatever kind of contractual documents we would need to start to execute on a master plan. The master plan got usurped by the Chases.
Okay, I understand that, but it just seems as part of it's extremely big expenditure it will be, and it's not unusual for a building this age to have to do that. But it just seems like a smart idea to have a master plan.
Brian, I may have misunderstood you, but did we not ask Cooper Carey for a master plan? And if I understand you correctly, they have not provided one. Is that correct?
Well, part of master planning is us participating in the master plan. So we've contracted with them to work with us to do a master plan. We have not done anything with them at this time to create a master plan for us.
Have they asked you for any input for one?
They're willing to have a meeting anytime we want to have one with them, to do that and to do visioning or whatever we want to do about the facility. Okay, I don't see any more hands, so with that, I'll make a motion to call the meeting. What?
Next board meeting, August 31st at 1:30.
August 31st, 1:30?
Yeah.
Okay. Did we want to do September? Do we already have one on the?
We have not went that far.
Let's look at it.
It's a little proactive on my part.
You're out on the last week.
Third week? Wednesday or what's?
Third week's good with me.
Okay.
So the 20th?
Third Wednesday.
20th is fine. September 20.
Okay.
September 20, okay.
All right, so then with that, I'll call the meeting to order. Do I have a second?
Or to adjourn?
Yeah, all right.
To adjourn.
Everybody in favor? Aye, good.
What day was that?
September 20th.
Wednesday, September 20th.
Next date is September 20th, 1:30.
Yeah, that's for September.
Yeah, August 31st.
August 31st at 1:30. All right, now we're done.